Clients frequently come to me with questions concerning the purchase and sale agreement, or when they are ready to make an offer and see a long contract with words that appear to be trying to confuse them with excessive words. So in this video, I will try to use the simple English to go through the entire agreement and to stop the confusion for once and for all. Let's get into it. My name is Antonio here from AV Team Real Estate, and we've been here selling real estate for over 3 years. If at any point in this video you have questions about the real estate market, drop them in the comments down below or reach out to us directly at 416-836-8987 or use this website at avteamrealestate.com to connect with us. I myself, as a realtor, I sometimes find clauses on the agreement to purchase and sale are designed just to confuse you. I like simplicity. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. The purpose of this video is to give you a more clarity on a contract when you're looking to buy or sell your property. We are not going through every detail on the document, but we are going through the main points when it comes to buying a property or selling a property, whichever matter for you. Here is the official agreement of purchase and selling in Ontario, Form 100. If you are not from Canada, don't worry, but this will give you a good idea. This is a standard form for freehold property, but there are a slight variation if you were to purchase or sell a condominium. This document is the main paperwork that you require to make an offer. Without this document, there is no offer. And the most important thing you need to understand about this document is that it is a contract. It is signed under seal and bound by contract law in Canada. Your realtor who facilitating the signing of this document is actually the witness of the transaction that is taking place. Whether you are the buyer or seller, and you are required to execute as per the contract. And if you don't, for the best case scenario, that the contract become null and void. And perhaps there are some clauses protecting you, either you are the buyer or the seller towards that. The worst case scenario is that you could financially liable and have to pay the damages to the other party. So bottom line, this means that when a deal is firm and signed, it must be honored. Okay, so this is the agreement of purchase and sale. From the top, we'll see here this section is the name of the buyer and the seller with their full legal names. And down below we have the real property, which is the full address of the property and also the legal description. And down below here we'll see the purchase price, which is, in this case, if you put it in an offer, this will be the price presented. And here, deposit. A quick note here, the deposit is actually held in listing brokerage's trust account. So in other words, it is not directly to the seller. And just to let you know here, when the actual transaction is completed, then this deposit is released to the seller. Scrolling down to the first page of the document, the first line that you should be paying attention is the irrevocability. This just indicates how long the offer is valid till. For example, suppose you are the buyer and you make an offer at 2 p.m. today that will expire at 11:45 p.m. The seller has until 11:45 p.m. to accept, reject, or even counter the offer. They also have the option of doing nothing. The offer will be null and void if the sellers not react within that time range. So if you want a shorter irrevocable period, but one that is appealing enough for the seller to agree, there may be some strategy involved. So overall, it is very dependent on the current market situation. Next, we go to the completion date. This is where the buyer takes the vacant possession of the property, where we usually refer to closing date. And it also can fall on a weekend or holidays. Here, moving on to the second page, this section number 4 that I want to be focusing is the chattels included. This is the list of items such as refrigerator, stove, washer, dryers, or microwave. It's the list of items that are mostly movable, and this is the chance for the buyers to list the item that they want to be included when the sale is completed. Moving on to the next section here, number 5, which is fixtures excluded, meaning these items are mostly attached to the property, whereas it's different from chattels that are movable. And the typical items such as chandelier that is attached on the ceiling or ceiling fan, those are the items that maybe the sellers want to exclude from the sales. So this is the chance where the seller can actually list it in writing here, just to be sure when times of completion of the sales, there are no arguments. So quick tips here is that every items that you want to be included in the sales, make sure that it's in writing here, so there are no confusion when times comes to completion. Now moving on to the section 6 here, rental items. These are the items when sometimes the sellers still have on their contract for renting equipment such as water tank, furnace, and air conditioning. This item have to be communicated with the buyers whether they want to be assumable or otherwise they want the seller to actually buy it out. So these are the terms and conditions that they have to put in writing here. And moving on to the section 7 here, HST. For the most part, the resales property, usually the price is included with HST. There are some exceptions sometimes for the pre-construction, let's say, and the new build. So this has to be communicated with the lawyers and they can state it otherwise. Moving to the top of the page of number 4, which is title search. In this section, it actually provides the time for the buyer's lawyer to do the necessary searches and checks on the property. This will likely include matters such as checking the title to ensure that the buyer is going to obtain good title and that there are no outstanding work orders. And basically the rest is very standard clauses on this agreement. And I just want to touch upon the inspection here. In this section, this paragraph make it known that the buyer has had the opportunity to do a personal inspection of the property they are purchasing. The buyer also acknowledge, of course, that unless it is stated in the body of the offer, the buyer could decline the opportunity to have a professional home inspection completed on the property. Moving on to this clause on the insurance. This clause states that the seller must take care of the property until closing and is responsible to maintain fire insurance policy, if any, on the property until closing. If there is a fire before closing, the buyer has two choices. They can either not buy the property or they can have insurance money paid to them and take the property as it is. Now moving on to page 5, where all the signatures take place. Here on the top, the buyer's signature, and on the bottom below is the seller. Now, if let's say the agreement is accepted, we do the confirmation of acceptance in this section. There's basically two scenarios where the acceptance of confirmation is take place. When the seller provided the price and the buyer accept the price, then the buyer will sign here and with the date. And let's say the other scenario where the seller actually counter the price and the buyer accept, then in this case the buyer will sign here and the signature take place here. And finally, when all this agreement is accepted, they come to this section here for acknowledgement, and the buyer acknowledge here and the seller in here. Okay, so this is the last page of the agreement, where it's also one of the most important pages that you should be paying attention to. The reason is this page states all the condition and terms by the buyer. So let's say, for example, you want to put a clause here, a condition for financing will be listed here. Or let's say you want to review condition for the lawyer to review the status certificate of a condominium. It was also stated here. And let's say you want a number of visits to the property prior to closing, you want to add it here as well. Or let's say you want to make sure the property is in a very clean and clear of debris condition when you move into the property. Pretty much everything that the buyer wants in terms of conditions and written here by the realtor. I hope you all got some value from this video. If you did, be sure to check out some of our other videos on YouTube listed below in the description. There you will find both buying and selling advice, as well as many resources to help you through your journey. If you are looking into buying or selling real estate in the GTA Toronto area, feel free to give us a call or text at 416-836-8987 and we will be happy to help. See you in the next video.